Thank you, Peg. Our next speaker is a partner and the director of strategy at Kelleher Sametz Volk, a marketing firm with offices in Burlington, Boston, and New York. She particularly enjoys leveraging brand strategy to inspire business innovation inside organizations and unleashing the genius of people and of teams. She's helped to do this for many clients, and they include New Balance and Seventh Generation, Efficiency Vermont, Time Warner. She was a member of Marlboro College's pioneer cohort. Remember when I asked you to be pioneers? I'm remembering that so clearly today. With an MBA in sustainable business. She has been particularly inspired by microfinance, systems thinking, and how gender relates to issues of sustainability. I'm proud to give you Cheryl Eaton.
Thank you very much, and what a powerful story. Thank you for sharing. I know this is not the Oscars, but I cannot resist this public venue to shout out a big thanks to my family who are in the audience waving at me right now, Eric, Dante, and Beck. I know it's quite a cliche, but without their support, flexibility, patience, I just would not be here today. I think you would find me at the bottom of some cliff at this point, so thank you very much. It's really an honor to be speaking here today, and frankly, I had a hard time figuring out what to talk about because the graduates are really coming together from such different degrees. So I decided to tell a personal story, much like Peggy's, perhaps not as powerful, I must say, and hope that you graduates and others will get a little bit out of that, or there might be something interesting for you. So when Ralph asked me to speak today, I couldn't help but travel back to my high school graduation, where I was standing at a podium similar to this one, wearing similarly fabulous garb, and giving my salutatorian address. And I don't remember much about that except for I was very nervous and my voice cracked, very embarrassing, and I quoted from Pink Floyd, "Welcome to the machine." So that tells you a lot about me at that time, and it's true. I stood in front of graduates of high school who were rosy-cheeked and bright eyes and basically warned them not to get close to the industrial system that would suck the life out of you. And I lived by that advice for quite some time, and I'm proud of that, but at some point my resistance fell and I too was sucked into the machine. And perhaps I'm being a little overdramatic because there are many things that I am very proud of in my career. But what I mean by that is that my own personal ethics and values often slipped to the side when it came to the business context. So when I was thinking about what the musical inspiration might be for today, honestly, I had hoped I would get a flash from some new hip artist that perhaps you hadn't heard of and I could introduce them to you. But instead, I heard two very distinct words come to mind from an old Van Morrison song that I haven't heard in a very long time, and it was "Wake Up." Now, don't take that as advice to the other graduates because I'm sure you are quite awake, but it's really a reminder to me to wake up and stay awake. Having kids is one way to wake up, and going to the Marlboro MBA program is another very distinct way to wake up. So though my hair might be messy and my clothes slightly rumpled from my slumber, I am now very much awake. And I thank the Marlboro program for that. You know, let's face it, there are other perhaps more sexy MBAs that you could add to your resume, but the value of the Marlboro degree across all programs, I'm quite sure, is the essence of the school, which in my humble opinion I would say is about inspiring inquiry, being curious, and inciting challenge of the established norms, and also frankly the knee-jerk opposites, in a generative way of course, and then also challenging yourself. And I personally have been very challenged. I think many of you will remember as I showed up, I would say that I was pretty much all business. After years of the business world under my belt, I definitely brought forward a lot of the established thinking of the business world. In fact, I have to admit, a couple of times, I found myself defending Mr. Moneybags in our economics class. And, you know, I'm not quite sure I wouldn't do that today, depending upon the context, but I personally have shifted very much. And I'd like to share some of those epiphanies probably is too big of a word, but a part of those flashes of insights for me that I've had over the last 2 years. And the first is that small is powerful. So when faced with big global issues, one often thinks that you need big global solutions. Don't we need the big multinationals to swoop in and save us, or the big governments? And I admit myself feeling very powerful many times in the past, and still so today. But I found that a wonderful thing, if I just blurred my eyes a little bit, I could see this remarkable person doing something amazing here, and this small group taking on a challenge there, and this community rising to a challenge. And if you blurred your eyes, you could see these groups that were small blending together into a really powerful force. So if we believe that the little guy has no power, we might as well pack up our toys and go home. But instead, I choose not to give up. I choose to take action as if it matters. The other is that hope is powerful. And I think hope gets a bad rap. It's considered soft and passive largely. You know, if something's wrong, I'll just sit back and hope that something will help me out. But I think actually hope is not at all soft. It's quite hard. It's very powerful. I like to think of hope as having teeth. It really provides you an anchor of conviction as you're moving towards a vision. And President Obama talks about the audacity of hope. And I love that notion, because when the sailing is really smooth, you don't really need hope. It's when the seas are rocky that you need that hope as an anchor to get through those tough times. I choose to both face the brutal facts of the situation and also hope that my actions will bear fruit. So I choose hope. Empathy is critical. Some people might call it caring for each other, caring for groups, caring for systems and ecosystems, the world. But I'm going to push that a little farther and propose that empathos is actually what's critical. It's a little different than empathy. If empathy is me here and you there, and I can relate to your situation, I can maybe sympathize with your feelings. Empathos is a Greek concept that takes that barrier out. So there's no you and I, there's no us and them, it's just us together in an interdependent relationship. So that means I'm not relating to your situation is mine, and your well-being is mine. It's the same. So when you have that awareness, you see and literally feel a broader systems context that I am responsible for. And without that sense of interdependence, it's all about me. I can collect my winnings and go home. But I believe in that interdependence, and this is coming from a woman who, quite frankly, has been and continues to be fiercely independent. But I feel in my heart that my well-being is your well-being at the family level, at the organization level, the ecosystem, community world. And in that interdependent system, the small action of a part can have a profound ripple effect on the impact of the whole system. And that's why I choose to care. And let me tell you what I don't think is crucial. This goes out to you, Roger. Certainty. Does it really matter that I'm not 100% certain that humans will shift the climate, or that I'm not 100% sure that child labor didn't go into the creation of this gown? I don't think it does. I don't think uncertainty is an excuse for inaction, largely because I think inaction is actually a myth. We're constantly taking action. So I choose to stay curious, learn what I can, challenge generatively, and then make the best decision I can to do the least harm and the best good, even if it's just in case. And I still make the wrong decision much of the time. I will never be perfect, something that I've had to put up on the shelf as also not crucial, but I choose to try. And what strikes me about these insights and many others that I cannot share right now because I'll get yanked off the stage, is these are the softer things in life. They are the things that are awfully dismissed in the world of business as too soft. But if these things are as powerful as I suspect that they are, I personally believe that I'm starting to understand what it means that the meek will inherit the world. So here's a question that I just asked myself. What have I inherited recently? And I've inherited a series of new labels. Listen to them. Hardcore, radical, extreme, depressing, and overly complex. And none of those were intended as compliments. So to my family and friends, I apologize for depressing. It's really not my intention. Complex, I will own that. That for sure is me. I am very complex. Hardcore, extreme, I know lots of other people, many in this audience, who are much more hardcore and extreme than me, and frankly, I admire them and wish that I could be more like them. If I were to describe myself, I would describe myself as conflicted, flawed, hypocritical, often overwhelmed by all of this, but also hopeful, far from depressed, and trying to make good choices. Trying to be awake and make good choices. And we are all, each of us, making choices. They might seem small, routine, regular, based on very easy criteria, but they're actually quite complex. Each of them has a consequence. So if we can all stay awake to these complexities and make the best choices we can, together, I know, we'll weave that beautiful tapestry for the world. Thank you.